the mountains of southwest China, there is a land of breathtaking beauty and profound danger. Sichuan Province. It is a land shaped by geological force, where high mountains touch the clouds and rivers carve deep into the earth, creating a landscape that is at once majestic and fragile. But this beauty comes with an unsettling truth. The ground here is ever shifting, always carrying within it the potential to collapse. The annual monsoon rains, normally a source of life, arrived as a relentless assault. The ceaseless downpour inundated the region, exceeding 200 millimeters in some areas, saturating the hillsides and soaking deep into the clay-rich red rock, awakening the sleeping giant. The entire region seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the inevitable. The first collapse occurred on the quiet morning of July 27th in Luding County. At around 7:30 a.m., a waterlogged slope near National Highway G318 the critical lifeline connecting Sichuan to Tibet, roared to life. A river of rock and mud, 15,000 cubic meters of the mountain itself, tore through the landscape, burying a 70-meter stretch of the highway in an instant. All traffic, all connection was severed. The lifeline was choked. But this was not an unforeseen event. This was a disaster that had been anticipated. For days, the site had been under close watch. The province's geological monitoring systems had flagged the area as high risk. Local authorities had issued continuous warnings as the rainfall weakened the rock layers. And in a decisive act that saved countless lives, evacuation orders were issued just hours before the mountain gave way. Less than 24 hours later, the earth moved again. In Lebo County, within the Liangshan-Yi Autonomous Prefecture, a steep hillside above a township collapsed after 5 straight days of torrential rain. This time, the slide was approximately 300 meters wide, unleashing over 20,000 cubic meters of material, including boulders as large as small cars, which tumbled down into the farmland below. Geologists later confirmed that stress fractures had been forming on this slope for weeks. The rains were simply the final straw, accelerating an inevitable failure. Once again, thanks to early warnings, emergency evacuations had been carried out in the valley below. No homes were directly hit. This is where the story of nature's destruction becomes a story of human response. The moment the first warnings were issued, a mechanism was activated. More than 3,000 emergency personnel, a coordinated force of highly trained geologists, firefighting units, search and rescue teams, and transportation engineers were deployed across the affected zones within 24 hours. They did not arrive to search for victims, but to restore order. At the Luding landslide, teams from the transport, geology, and fire departments arrived swiftly. A command post was established on higher ground, the nerve center for a complex fight against gravity and chaos. Drones were launched, becoming eyes in the sky, streaming real-time imagery and radar data to assess the area's stability. Excavators roared to life, beginning the monumental task of clearing the tons of debris. It was a symphony of organized chaos. By evening, amidst the devastation, a glimmer of hope appeared. Rescue teams had carved out a temporary bypass lane, reopening the critical route. Simultaneously, engineering teams began the work of reinforcement, installing protective mesh and rock anchors to stabilize the surrounding slope. guarding against a secondary disaster. Across the province, from the Ebian-Ying-Jing corridor to isolated mountain villages, smaller slides disrupted rural roads and damaged power lines. But at every site, emergency crews worked through the night to restore connectivity. This success was not accidental. It was built on a foundation of preparation. Sichuan's disaster response infrastructure has been modernized in recent years. Tools like real-time rainfall sensors, slope vibration detectors, and drone mapping played a crucial role in pinpointing danger zones and directing timely responses. High-risk areas have been reinforced with environmentally friendly, rapidly deployable materials. The events in Sichuan in late July 2025 are a powerful lesson. They show that while the forces of nature are absolute, human tragedy is not always inevitable. This was a story of a disaster that was foreseen, a crisis that was managed, and lives that were protected. It is a story not of luck, but of preparation, investment, and a profound respect for the power of the land they call home.
Paनी